The Rime of the Ancient Mariner by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Part 1. It is an ancient mariner, and he stoppeth one of three. By thy long grey beard and glittering eye, now wherefore stoppest thou me? The bridegroom's doors are open wide, and I am next of kin. The guests are met, the feast is set, mayest hear the merry din. He holds him with his skinny hand. There was a ship, quoth he. Hold off, unhand me, grey-beard loon. Eftsoons his hand dropped me. He dropped him with his glittering eye. The wedding guest stood still, and listens like a 3 years' child. The mariner hath his will. The wedding guest sat on a stone. He cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. The ship was cheered, the harbor cleared. Merrily did we drop. Below the kirk, below the hill, below the lighthouse top. The sun came up upon the left. Out of the sea came in. And he shone bright, and on the right went down into the sea. Higher and higher every day, till over the mast at noon, the wedding guest here beat his breast, for he had heard a loud bassoon. The bride hath paced into the hall, red as a rose is she. Nodding their heads before her goes the merry minstrelsy. The wedding guest he beat his breast, yet he cannot choose but hear. And thus spake on that ancient man, the bright-eyed mariner. And now the storm blast came, and he was tyrannous and strong, and struck with his oar-tick wings, and chased us south along. With slooping mast and dipping prow, as who pursued with yell and blow, still treads the shadow of his foe, and forward bends his head. The ship drove fast, loud it roared the blast, the southward aye we fled. And now there came both a mist and snow, and it grew wondrous cold, and ice mast high came floating by, as green as emerald. As though the drifts were snowy cliffs, did send a dismal sheen, nor shapes of men nor beast we ken. The ice was all between. The ice was here, the ice was there, the ice was all around. It cracked and growled and roared and howled, like beast in a swound. At length did cross an albatross. Through the fog it came, as if it had been a Christian soul. We hailed it in God's name. It ate the food it ne'er had eat, and round it flew. The ice did split with a thunder fit. The helmsman steered us through. And a good south wind sprung up behind. The albatross did follow, and every day for food and play came to the mariner's hollow. In mist or cloud, on mast or shroud, it perched for vespers 9, while all the night through fog smoke white glimmered the white moonshine. God save thee, ancient mariner, from the fiends that plague thee thus. Why lookest thou so? With my crossbow I shot the albatross. Part 2. The sun now rose upon the right. Out of the sea came he, still hid in mist, and on the left went down into the sea. And the good south wind still blew behind, but no sweet bird did follow, nor any day for food or play came to the mariner's hollow. And I had done a hellish thing, and it would work 'em woe, for all averred I had killed the bird that made the breeze to blow. A wretch, they said, the bird to slay that made the breeze to blow. Nor dim nor red like God's own head the glorious sun uprised. Then all averred I had killed the bird that brought the fog and mist. 'Twas right, they say, such birds to slay that bring the fog and mist. The fair breeze blew, the white foam flew, the fury followed free. We were the first that ever burst into that silent sea. Dropped down the breeze, the sails dropped down. 'Twas sad as sad could be, and we did speak only to break the silence of the sea. All in a hot and copper sky, the bloody sun at noon, right up above the mast did stand, no bigger than the moon. Day after day, day after day, we struck, no breath nor motion, as idle as a painted ship upon a painted ocean. Water, water everywhere, and all the boards did shrink. Water, water everywhere, not any drop to drink. O very deep did rot, O Christ, that ever this should be. Yea, slimy things did crawl with legs upon the slimy sea. About, about, in reel and rout, the death fires danced at night. The water, like a witch's oil, burnt green and blue and white. And some in dreams assured were of the spirit that plagued us so. 9 fathoms deep he had followed us from the land of mist and snow. And every tongue, through utter drought, was withered at the root. We could not speak no more than if we had been choked with soot. Ah, well a day, what an evil look had I from old and young. Instead of the cross, the albatross about my neck was hung. Part 3. There passed a weary time. Each throat was parched and glazed each eye. A weary time, a weary time. How glazed each weary eye, when looking westward I beheld a something in the sky. At first it seemed a little speck, and then it seemed a mist. It moved and moved, and took at last a certain shape I wist. A speck, a mist, a shape, a whist. It neared and neared, as if it dodged a water sprite. It plunged and tacked and veered. With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, we could not laugh nor wail. Through utter drought, all dumb we stood. I bit my arm, I sucked my blood, and cried, "A sail! A sail!" With throats unslacked, with black lips baked, agap they heard me call, "Gramercy!" They for joy did grin, and all at once their breath drew in, as they were drinking all. "See, see," I cried, "she tacks no more, hither to work us weal. Without a breeze, without a tide, she's steadied with upright keel." The westward whale was all aflame. The day was well nigh done. Upon the western wave rested the broad, bright sun, when all that strange shape dove suddenly betwixt us and the sun. And straight the sun was flecked with bars. Heaven's mother send us grace, as if through a dungeon grate he peered with broad and burning face. Alas, thought I, and my heart beat loud, how fast she nears and nears. Are those her sails that glance in the sun like restless gossameres? Are those her ribs through which the sun did peer, as though through a gate? And is that woman all her crew? Is that a death? And are there two? Is death that woman's mate? Her lips were red, her looks were free, her locks were yellow as gold. Her skin was as white as leprosy. The nightmare life and death was she, who thicks man's blood with cold. The naked hulk alongside came, and the twain were casting dice. "The game is done, I've won," quoth she, and whistles thrice. The sun's rim dips, the stars rush out. At one stride comes the dark, with far-heard whisper o'er the sea, off shot the spectre bark. We listened and looked sideways up, fear at my heart as at a cup my lifeblood seemed to sip. The stars were dim, and the night was thick. The steersman's face by his lamp gleamed white, and the sails the dew did drip, till clomb above the eastern bar the horned moon with one bright star within the nether tip. One after one, by the star-dogged moon, too quick for groan or sigh, each turned his face with a ghastly pang. They cursed me with his eye. 4 times 50 living men, and I heard nor sigh nor groan. With a heavy thump, a lifeless lump, they dropped down one by one. The souls did from their bodies fly. They fled to bliss or woe, and every soul that passed me by, like the whiz of my crossbow. Part 4. I fear thee, ancient mariner, I fear thy skinny hand, and thou art long and lank and brown, as is the ribbed sea sand. I fear thee and thy glittering eye, and the skinny hand so brown. Fear not, thou wedding guest, this body drop not down. Alone, alone, all alone, alone on a wide, wide sea, and never a saint took pity on my soul in agony. The many men, so beautiful, they all dead did lie, and 1,000 slimy things lived on, and so did I. I looked upon the rotting sea, and drew my eyes away. I looked upon the rotting deck, and there all the dead men lay. I looked to heaven, and I tried to pray, but or ever a prayer had gushed, a wicked whisper came and made my heart as dry as dust. I closed my lids and kept them closed, and the balls like pulses beat. For the sky and the sea, and the sea and the sky lay dead like a load on my weary eye, and the dead were at my feet. The cold sweat melted from their limbs, nor wrought nor reeked did they. The look with which they looked at me had never passed away. An orphan's curse would drag to hell a spirit from on high. But oh, more horrible than that is the curse in a dead man's eye. 7 days and 7 nights I saw that curse, and yet I could not die. The moving moon went up the sky, and nowhere did abide. Softly she was going up, and a star or two beside. Her beams bemocked the sultry main, like April hoar-frost spread. But where the ship's huge shadow lay, the charmed water burnt away, a still and awful red. Beyond the shadow of the ship, I watched the water snakes. They moved in tracks of shining white, and when they reared, the elfish light fell off in hoary flakes. Within the shadow of the ship, I watched their rich attire, blue, glossy green, and velvet black. They collided and swam, and every tack was flash and golden fire. O happy living things, no tongue their beauty might declare. A spring of love gushed from my heart, and I blessed them unaware. Sure my kind saint took pity on me, and I blessed them unaware. The self-same moment I could pray, and from my neck so free, the albatross fell away and sank like lead into the sea. Part 5. Oh, sleep, it is a gentle thing, beloved from pole to pole. To Mary Queen the praise be given. She sent the gentle sleep from heaven that slid into my soul. The silly buckets on the deck that had so long remained, I dreamt that they were filled with dew, and when I awoke it rained. My lips were wet, my throat was cold, my garments all were dank. Sure I had drunken in my dreams, and still my body drank. I moved and could not feel my limbs. I was so light almost. I thought that I had died in sleep and was a blessed ghost.